Good evening. It is Tuesday, January 5th, 2021. I read a few weeks ago about someone who was encouraging their teenager to be more like Jesus. And the teenager responded with maybe a little quicker wit and a better understanding of Jesus than the parent had. The teenager's response was, "Be like Jesus? Cool. I get to hang out with bad guys and prostitutes, drink wine, and take naps on boats." The parent was encouraged to think a little quicker and maybe quit using so many cliches with their teenager. Mark records the nap-taking incident in Mark chapter 4, verses 35 to 41 in the New Living Translation, second edition. It takes place early in Jesus' ministry while they were in Galilee. As evening came, Jesus said to the disciples, "Let's cross to the other side of the lake." So they took Jesus in the boat and started out, leaving the crowds behind, although other boats followed. But soon a fierce storm came up. High waves were breaking into the boat, and it began to fill with water. Jesus was sleeping at the back of the boat with his head on a cushion. The disciples woke him up, shouting, "Teacher, don't you care we're going to drown?" When Jesus woke up, he rebuked the wind and said to the waves, "Silence, be still." Suddenly the wind stopped, and there was a great calm. Then he asked them, "Why are you afraid? Do you still have no faith?" The disciples were absolutely terrified. "Who is this man?" they asked each other. "Even the wind and the waves obey him." Several thoughts come to mind when I look at this passage. First, Jesus is not scared of the same things I am. He's not unsettled by the things that put my life into turmoil. Whatever storm I'm going through, Jesus sees it as a tempest in a teapot. We get so agitated, so upset, so full of anxiety, and Jesus takes a nap. Some of the disciples were professional fishermen. They were doing everything humanly possible to keep the boat afloat and on course during the storm. The other disciples, the non-fisherman disciples, recognized that all the water should be outside the boat and not inside. And they're running into full panic, screaming mode. Fight or flight response really doesn't work on a small boat. There's nowhere to run to. They were the ones shouting, "Teacher, don't you care we're going to drown?" When Jesus woke up, the Bible says he rebuked the wind and the waves. Stop it! The disciples witnessed a supernatural miracle, the immediate control of meteorological events. Then Jesus asked two very important questions. We should ask ourselves the same questions when we're afraid and in a panic. The first question is, why are you afraid? This question deserves an honest answer. We have many fears and phobias in our lives. Fear of violence, fear of pain, fear of failure, fear of loss, fear of being out of control, fear of sickness and death. Many of these, in fact, most of them are very valid fears. We could even add the fear of public speaking to it. I don't think that Jesus was implying the disciples should be without fear. That's just not realistic. I think he was challenging them to recognize the source of their fears in order to better work through them. Fear is a natural emotion commonly experienced, and it's better for us to transform blinding panic into identifiable shortcomings. Then we are better able to face the fears. The second question is about faith. He wants them to question whether they trust God or not. Kind of a little hint here. God is not devastated when we do not trust him. He wants us to grow into our trust for him in every area of our lives, in every way. So often our fear and panic is just a subtle way of screaming to God that we don't think he's in charge, that he's let us down. Personal and spiritual growth include identifying and facing our fears, recognizing where we fail to trust God, and choosing to trust God in those new areas. In 2021, may we choose to let God handle the storms of our lives and grow in faith to trust Him that He really does have things in His control. God bless you.